The cost of company, why you feel emptier after socializing. Have you noticed the paradox? The more time you spend with people, the emptier you feel afterward. They call loneliness a disease, but Schopenhauer called it a sign of intelligence. The constant hum of conversations that say nothing, the laughter that hides fatigue, why does silence feel more honest than company? Perhaps you haven't lost the world, perhaps you've finally stopped needing its noise. If presence is so precious, why does it always cost you your peace? Arthur Schopenhauer wrote, "The more a man has in himself, the less he will need from the outside world." Staying home is not a retreat, it's a profound return to self. The theater of connection. You went out, you smiled, you nodded at jokes that weren't funny, and returned home drained and more alone than before you left. What happened? The brutal truth is that most human connection is theater. It's noise pretending to be music, movement pretending to be meaningful. Research shows that happiness correlates with having substantive conversations, yet social gatherings are filled with surface-level exchanges and rehearsed pleasantries. We are terrified of silence because it is full of the questions, doubts, and truths we are running from. Most people fill their lives with noise because the mystery of existence terrifies them. You felt the hollow ache of wearing a mask, the realization that you left more disconnected than when you arrived. Loneliness doesn't come from having no people, as Jung noted, it comes from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to oneself. You are alone not because you lack people, but because you lack depth in connection. Gemstone solitude is sanctuary, not isolation. Individuals with high IQ scores are significantly more likely to seek solitude. This isn't dysfunction, it's a craving for authenticity that shallow company cannot satisfy. Every social interaction is a transaction. Most leave you bankrupt. Schopenhauer observed, "We forfeit 3/4 of ourselves in order to be like other people." Think of it, you abandon 75% of who you are just to fit in. Staying home is how you stop this transaction. When you learn to enjoy your own company, the isolation dissolves, and solitude becomes sanctuary. The moment you stop performing, you stop fragmenting. In society, you are under subtle observation, always self-editing. In solitude, the monitoring ceases. You are really free. Staying home is not laziness, it's self-preservation. It's the courageous act of creating the space for self-formation. The power hidden in stillness. Modern culture worships motion, productivity, and constant activity, but this is a lie. Science confirms that silence is not emptiness, it is incubation. Your brain requires rest periods for memory consolidation, self-reflection, and creative insight. Ideas emerge from within, not borrowed from others. The targets no one else can see become visible only in stillness, where conventional thinking falls away and something original can emerge. The willingness to simply sit still, to trust that something valuable is happening even when you're not visibly productive, is the beginning of genius. The man who stays home and cultivates his inner world finds satisfaction not in having more, but in being more. Schopenhauer's final wisdom, he who does not enjoy solitude will not love freedom. You have a choice, solitude over empty company. Choose depth over noise. Choose being yourself over being liked. Stay home, think deeply, become yourself, and discover the power that was always there, waiting in the silence. You've chosen the path less traveled. You've accepted the silence. You've traded the fleeting validation of the crowd for the unshakable core of yourself. But this path comes with a new challenge, the world's resistance. The moment you start retreating from the noise, the world, your friends, and your own conditioned mind will try to pull you back. They will call your solitude isolation. They will mistake your self-possession for arrogance. They will label your peace as laziness. Stop signing the pressure to perform. Modern life is engineered to make you feel guilty for rest and reflection. It demands constant visibility and output. If you aren't posting, talking, or achieving, you feel like you're failing. Social media, it's a perpetual stage that measures your worth in likes and comments. It punishes the private life. The busy trap: we brag about being busy because we've been taught that activity is proof of worth. But busy doesn't equal meaningful. It often just means distraction. External validation: the entire system relies on you needing its approval. When you become self-sufficient in spirit, you become uncontrollable. Schopenhauer anticipated this. Ordinary people merely think how they shall spend their time. A man of intellect tries to use his time. The great minds didn't fear what others thought of their schedule. They feared the squandering of their precious, limited attention on things that did not matter. Shield fortifying your inner life. Staying home isn't the final step, it's the foundation. Now, you must build something worth protecting within that quiet space. What does it mean to truly have more in yourself? Cultivate deep interest, stop consuming and start creating. Turn off the borrowed entertainment and find the specific work, study, or craft that captivates you, not the crowd. Face the shadow. Young solitude gives you the unedited time to look at the uncomfortable parts of yourself, the doubts, the fears, the denied desires. Enlightenment doesn't come from imagining figures of light, but from making the darkness conscious. You must face what you've hidden to become whole. Refine your values. Away from social pressure, you discover what you actually value versus what you were told to value. This inner clarity becomes your compass, making you impervious to passing trends and demands. This inner cultivation is the source of your sovereignty. You stop being easily manipulated because your worth is no longer determined by external, unstable things like status or possessions. You become the source of your own meaning. The freedom is found in no. Your newfound strength will be tested by the requests of others. To maintain the sanctuary you've built, you must master the art of the courageous no. Say no to obligations that drain you without filling you. Say no to conversations that require you to forfeit 3/4 of yourself. Say no to the temptation of performing for people who don't truly see you. This isn't selfishness. It's self-respect. It's recognizing that your time, energy, and authenticity are too precious to waste on exchanges that leave you emptier than when you began. The world will continue its noise. The demand for your attention will never cease. But now you have the choice, the power to select what enters your quiet space and what stays outside. You disappear, not because you're weak, but because you've chosen peace over performance, depth over noise, and being over seeming. Stay home. Think deeply. Become yourself. The quiet strength you find there is the only true freedom. The inevitable crisis of solitude, facing your own mind. You are now in the quiet space. The initial relief of escaping the social theater fades, and a deeper, more challenging phase begins. This is where most people fail. They mistake the absence of external noise for the presence of internal peace. Silence is not just the absence of sound, it is the amplification of thought. For many, the first thing that rushes into the void is anxiety. The ego, accustomed to constant external fuel, validation, distraction, comparison, protests its starvation. It will try to lure you back to the screen or the crowded room. Schopenhauer understood the terror of the inner landscape. The more unintelligent a man is, the less mysterious existence seems to him. People who fear solitude are often terrified because they have never developed a robust inner life. When all the noise stops, they are confronted with their own shallowness, the lack of substantive content within. The shadow work. This quiet space is where Jung's shadow work becomes mandatory. The shadow is not just the bad or dark parts of you, it's everything you have repressed, everything that doesn't fit the social mask. When you are alone, you must face unacknowledged fears, the anxiety about your purpose, your mortality, or your relationships that you drowned out with busyness. Denied desires, the path you genuinely wanted to take, the truth you bit your tongue to hide, the authentic self you traded for acceptance. The inner critic, the merciless voice that judges you, often using the standards of the world you just left. You cannot become whole by only embracing the light. You must descend into the darkness and make it conscious. This confrontation is uncomfortable, but it is absolutely necessary for genuine self-knowledge and authentic living. From retreat to creation. If you successfully navigate the anxiety and the shadow, the quiet hours transition from being merely a retreat to becoming a creative forge. Science shows that when external demands cease, your brain shifts into a default mode network. This is the brain's internal processing center, crucial for memory consolidation, digesting the past and integrating lessons. Synthesis and connection, forming new links between seemingly disparate ideas. Future planning, developing genuine goals rooted in your true self, not social pressure. The great minds, Einstein, Newton, Maxwell, didn't need validation from the crowd, they needed uninterrupted contemplation. They knew that their most valuable contributions would emerge from deep stillness, not frantic activity. This is the reward of your choice, to find satisfaction not just in being more, but in creating something original and meaningful from the rich resources you cultivate within. The inner life you build becomes the ultimate filter, allowing you to engage with the world selectively and powerfully, without being consumed by it. Re-engagement, returning to the world with sovereignty. You have faced the shadow, cultivated the inner life, and built a sanctuary of stillness. The final, critical test is not in staying away, but in how you return to the world. Solitude's purpose isn't to make you a permanent hermit, it's to make you impregnable. You go out not to seek fulfillment, but to express the fulfillment you already possess. Compass the new compass, depth over density. When you re-engage, you stop measuring social success by density, how many contacts you have, how many events you attend, and start measuring it by depth, how authentic the interaction is, how much truth is exchanged. The authentic gaze, because you have spent time truly seeing yourself in solitude, you can now truly see others. You are less distracted by the performance, and you can sense the soul beneath the mask. This allows you to bypass the small talk and move toward the substantive, meaningful conversations that research shows correlate with genuine happiness. Discrimination, not misanthropy, you no longer crave quantity, you crave rarity. The wise person doesn't fill their calendar, they protect their energy. You choose a few deep relationships, or even just one or two truly authentic encounters, over 100 shallow ones. This is not hatred of people, it is discrimination, the ability to distinguish between what genuinely nourishes and what merely fills time. Speaking head speaking from the core. In society, you previously forfeited 3/4 of yourself to fit in. Now, you must choose to speak and act from the remaining 1/4, your authentic, unedited core. Boundary as shield, your clarity, born in stillness, becomes your most potent boundary. You do not nod along to opinions you question. You do not laugh at jokes that aren't funny. Your energy is too valuable for the hidden labor of performance. The uncontrollable mind, a silent, cultivated mind cannot be controlled by external pressures or social expectations. When you speak, your words carry the weight of independent thought. You are no longer repeating scripts handed to you by culture, you are generating your own reality. Schopenhauer's ideal was not a recluse, but a self-sufficient mind who could engage with society on their own terms. When you have everything you need within yourself, you negotiate from a position of power and peace. You now have the courage to disappoint others in service of not disappointing yourself. Sparkles the legacy of solitude. Your return is a commitment to a life of courageous authenticity. You are no longer seeking their approval to have worth, you are simply sharing the richness you've cultivated. Staying home was never about hiding from life, it was about finally, truly beginning to live. The goal is not to avoid the world, but to be in it, but not of it. Re-engagement, returning to the world with sovereignty. You have faced the shadow, cultivated the inner life, and built a sanctuary of stillness. The final, critical test is not in staying away, but in how you return to the world. Solitude's purpose isn't to make you a permanent hermit, it's to make you impregnable. You go out not to seek fulfillment, but to express the fulfillment you already possess. Compass the new compass, depth over density. When you re-engage, you stop measuring social success by density, how many contacts you have, how many events you attend, and start measuring it by depth, how authentic the interaction is, how much truth is exchanged. The authentic gaze, because you have spent time truly seeing yourself in solitude, you can now truly see others. You are less distracted by the performance, and you can sense the soul beneath the mask. This allows you to bypass the small talk and move toward the substantive, meaningful conversations that research shows correlate with genuine happiness. Discrimination, not misanthropy. You no longer crave quantity, you crave rarity. The wise person doesn't fill their calendar, they protect their energy. You choose a few deep relationships, or even just one or two truly authentic encounters, over 100 shallow ones. This is not hatred of people, it is discrimination, the ability to distinguish between what genuinely nourishes and what merely fills time. Speaking head, speaking from the core. In society, you previously forfeited 3/4 of yourself to fit in. Now, you must choose to speak and act from the remaining 1/4, your authentic, unedited core. Boundary as shield, your clarity, born in stillness, becomes your most potent boundary. You do not nod along to opinions you question. You do not laugh at jokes that aren't funny. Your energy is too valuable for the hidden labor of performance. The uncontrollable mind, a silent, cultivated mind cannot be controlled by external pressures or social expectations. When you speak, your words carry the weight of independent thought. You are no longer repeating scripts handed to you by culture, you are generating your own reality. Schopenhauer's ideal was not a recluse, but a self-sufficient mind who could engage with society on their own terms. When you have everything you need within yourself, you negotiate from a position of power and peace. You now have the courage to disappoint others in service of not disappointing yourself. Sparkles the legacy of solitude. Your return is a commitment to a life of courageous authenticity. You are no longer seeking their approval to have worth, you are simply sharing the richness you've cultivated. Staying home was never about hiding from life, it was about finally, truly beginning to live. The goal is not to avoid the world, but to be in it, but not of it. The noise will continue. The demand for attention will never cease. But you have reclaimed your sovereignty. You know who you are when no one is watching, and that is the only audience that truly matters. Maintaining the sanctuary, stillness amidst the storm. You have tasted sovereignty. You have felt the profound satisfaction of being yourself, unburdened by performance. The challenge now is sustainability. How do you maintain that inner stillness when the world inevitably intrudes? The goal is not permanent retreat, but portable peace. The world outside is a relentless machine designed to colonize your attention. To protect your inner life, you need daily practices that anchor you to the depth you found in solitude. Brick building inner walls, boundaries and habits. The most effective shield against the world's noise is a disciplined inner routine. The sovereignty hour, dedicate the first and/or last hour of your day exclusively to yourself. No screens, no consumption, no social demands. This time is for the activities of the inner world, reading philosophy, creative work, deep contemplation, or simply sitting in silence. This hour sets the tone, ensuring you start your day as a creator, not a reactor. That no muscle, you must continuously exercise the courage to say no. Every yes to a trivial social obligation is a no to your growth. Learn to deliver the refusal simply and kindly, without elaborate justification. Your inner peace is justification enough. Scheduled isolation, treat solitude not as a default when plans fail, but as a crucial, non-negotiable appointment in your calendar. If you do not schedule the quiet, the noise will schedule you. Schopenhauer believed that the wise man's happiness relies upon a well-cultivated inner world, making him less dependent on fortune and external events. By establishing these routines, you are building your own fortress. The test of external engagement. When you step into the world, your interactions become opportunities to test the strength of your cultivated self. Mindful presence versus mindless performance. In a conversation, practice being mindfully present to the person and the topic, rather than mentally rehearsing your next line or worrying about how you are perceived. When you stop performing, you free up immense mental energy. The power of silence in dialogue: do not feel compelled to fill every gap. Allow silence to enter the conversation. This invites depth and gives the other person space to speak their truth, not just their script. If the conversation remains shallow, you can gently withdraw without feeling obligated to stay. Selective vulnerability: you now share your authentic self only when it serves the connection, not when it serves the need for validation. You are discerning about who deserves to hear your truth. This mastery allows you to engage fully without being drained. You are not sacrificing yourself, you are simply exchanging your energy for value, ensuring the transaction leaves you richer, or at least whole. The power of solitude is this: it teaches you that you do not need the world to be okay, but the world needs people like you, people who think deeply, who speak honestly, and who live from a place of unshakable inner peace. The harvest of silence, creativity and contribution. You have successfully shielded your inner world and learned to navigate the noise. What flows out of this rich, protected space is not just peace, but creation. The depth you cultivated in solitude is meant to be shared, not for validation, but for contribution. Every thinker, artist, and innovator who ever truly shifted the world, from the sciences, Einstein, to the arts, Proust, first withdrew from the crowd. They didn't need consensus, they needed clarity. Telescope genius hitting unseen targets. Schopenhauer noted, talent hits a target no one else can hit. Genius hits a target no one else can see. The targets no one else can see only become visible in the absence of distraction. When you stop reacting to the urgent, trivial concerns of the moment, your mind can finally access the important, timeless questions. The noise of modern life is so aggressive because it prevents the majority from ever tapping into their own original source. People repeat opinions, consume content, and follow trends because they haven't given their mind the silent space to generate its own thoughts. The creative output born from your solitude is characterized by originality. Your ideas are not borrowed, but synthesized from your unique inner processing and reflection. Meaning, your work speaks to the core, existential truths because you face those truths in your stillness. Depth: it requires and rewards contemplation, resisting the superficiality of easy consumption. The man who stays home and tends his inner garden finds that when he eventually opens the gates, he has something truly valuable and authentic to share with the world, a rare commodity in an age defined by shallow imitation. The courage to be misunderstood. Your path of intentional solitude and authentic living is a direct challenge to the mass consensus. Therefore, your work and your choices will inevitably be misunderstood, and sometimes criticized. The herd mentality: most people operate based on the fear of missing out, FOMO, and the need to belong. When they see you intentionally step away, they interpret it through their own fear. Why is he isolating himself? They cannot comprehend that you are actively choosing fullness over feeling lonely, and truth over comfort. The price of originality: any idea that challenges the status quo, whether in art, science, or lifestyle, will face resistance. When you speak your truth, you disrupt the comfortable theater of social pretense. Be ready for the friction. Jung reminds us that the journey toward individuation is inherently lonely. A man can be himself only so long as he is alone, and if he does not love solitude, he will not love freedom. Your freedom is your ability to exist, create, and contribute on your own terms, regardless of external judgment. The power you built in silence is the armor that allows you to absorb the criticism without shattering your core. You stop asking, "What do they think of me?" and start asking, "Is this true?" This is the ultimate realization. Solitude is not an escape from life, but the necessary condition for a fully lived, authentic, and contributory life. You disappear only to return stronger, clearer, and ready to share the harvest.